So in the most recent feature premiere from MLB The Show, we heard about franchise, which is what we're focusing on for today's video, as well as some road to the show and some presentation. In the comments, as always, I would love some feedback for y'all. Number one, I just want to hear your thoughts on these franchise changes, updates, improvements, whatever you want to call them. I want to hear your thoughts about what we've heard about franchise for MLB The Show 24. The other thing I want to hear is, because this video, I'm kind of letting their feature premiere, letting the devs themselves do the explaining, and I want to know how y'all end up liking this video. Do you like the way it's presented? Would you rather hear me explaining and summarizing the changes the way I understand them, or do you prefer it something like today, where it's the developers going over the new features and explaining everything themselves, and I just kind of introduce what they're talking about like we do today? And as always, I'm really interested to just read your comments and see what everybody thinks about these franchise changes for MLB 24, less than a week away from early access, and I hope you enjoy this video. They mentioned that there's a few updates coming to franchise this year. The first one that they're talking about, they said, is play your way. Let's hear exactly what that means.
Let's start with playing your way. We know that 162 games is quite a big investment in franchise. More likely than not, you're going to have to simulate some games. So, we want you to play your way. And so based on these two thoughts, we're introducing custom game entry to franchise. What is this? So this is basically just a group of conditions that you set that determine when you're going to go in and jump into gameplay as you're simulating. So the two main conditions are situation importance, and that's basically for the stat-savvy fans. We're talking about leverage index here, which determines how important, how critical a play is, and innings as well. So let's just talk about an example. Let's say you only want to play the most pivotal moments of a season. You set a very high situation importance. You set the 9th inning, the 8th inning, and you're typically going to be coming in with the bases with the winning or tying runners on base. Conversely, though, you can go to the other extreme, and let's say you want to have a more more traditional experience and the same amount of innings per game that you're playing. You can set your situation importance to be low, come in the 6th or 7th inning. You're basically turning franchise into a 3-inning mode instead of a 9-inning mode. So player choice doesn't end once you come into a game. Let's say the game hasn't been decided after the half inning when you came in. Well, then you'll have the choice of simulating until your conditions are met again, or just play the rest of the game. And of course, you'll have your full suite of options there in franchise, which quick manage, fast forward to, as I said, play your way. Last point I'll make is that the last condition in custom game entry is player highlight moments. And so for our longtime fans, these were formerly known as critical situations. And basically, we're going to prompt you to come into the game in big situations like finishing off no-hitters or cycles, and situations with tying or winning runners on base as well. But yeah, that is custom game entry in a nutshell.
They went on to talk about some of the other updates, additions, improvements, whatever it may be, to franchise for MLB 24. Let's hear specifically what some of those are.
A few more additions this year. We're starting with improved logic dealing with undrafted and unsigned prospects. So basically, these prospects are progressing in between drafts, simulating the experience that these players would get from playing in college and then being eligible for the draft the following year. We also improved the prospect draft logic for injured players. Basically, there's an inherent risk with injury with these players, and so these players would end up sliding down draft boards in the CPU draft boards, and it presents an interesting decision for you as the player as well. Do you want to take the risk of getting this player who might be an injury risk, but if you hit, you've got an amazing prospect on your hands. We also added the prospect promotion incentive. It's a little bit of a mouthful. That's PPI for short. It basically it's a new rule in the majors that encourages teams to promote their best prospects for draft pick compensation. So there's criteria for this to be triggered, basically being top 3 in the MVP, Cy Young, winning Rookie of the Year. So these are the things that trigger that compensation. And we've also added a screen that helps you track what players are eligible for PPI.
So we heard a little bit about the amateur draft, kind of changes or additions to that, the addition of the prospect promotion incentives. There's also a brand new feature. Let's hear about what that brand new feature is for player cards.
Yeah, longtime fans, I'm sure they're going to be pleased. You're going to finally be able to see awards in the player card. And these will be tracked throughout your experience in franchise. And even awards that the player has won before this year will show up. So you know that Mike Trout, his page is just going to be stacked.
I'm not sure if we're going to be done after the next feature we're talking about, but they did say last but not least. Let's hear what that last but not least is.
And last but not least, we added a cool new feature for the hardcore, which is basically the ability to start your franchise with a roster that reflects all the latest real-life injuries. So, as an example, you're going to come in, you're going to see Jacob deGrom on the IL, Jason Dominguez. And, this is just a cool new wrinkle for people to, start their franchise in the most realistic way possible.
From player card awards to more reflective rosters, there's a lot for our fans to grasp and experience in franchise this year. This has been absolutely amazing. Luis, anything else you would like to say or give a shout out to?
Well, yeah, shout out to Clayton and the team for for putting in all the work this year. This is a great offering for franchise, and I'm just really excited for people to get their hands on it. I know that more than any of the previous past few years in the franchise, I really can't decide what I'm going to sink my teeth into once the game comes out, but just really excited for you to get your hands on it.
And it sounds like that is it for franchise and feature premiere. I'm curious what y'all think about the updates, improvements, and new features that we heard about. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, maybe custom ticket prices or adding stands, team travel editions or changing the price of hot dogs, sodas, merch in the shops around the ballpark, little things like that. But how do we feel about what we did hear about? And again, I'm really curious to see in the comments how y'all feel about these franchise changes, especially those of you that actually play a ton of franchise. Maybe it's even your main mode. For me, I still feel like I would almost prefer playing franchise on, say, MVP Baseball 05 or MLB 06 The Show, where I can set the price of hot dogs and tickets and merch and buy my team a bus or a jet or a private jet to make them happier and play better and recover better. You can buy aerobics room and massages and things like that. And from the changes I'm seeing, right, it seems like it's a step in the right direction, but a lot of these changes, the load rosters with injuries, the awards tabs, even the custom game entry conditions, these are things where I'm kind of sitting here like, to me, it seems like we should have gotten these a long time ago. So again, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'm really curious because I'm not a big franchise player. It's not one of my most played modes every year. So I'm curious how those of y'all who actually play a good amount of franchise, how are you feeling about it?